finish this. See that gun on its tail? I'm gonna rip it off. Then I'm gonna blow its frickin' brains out.
Today we're going to be taking a look at Ninja Theory's often forgotten release, Enslaved, Odyssey to the West. Ninja Theory are a team I've been following since 2003 with their release of Kung Fu Chaos, one of my favorite original Xbox games. When developing the sequel to Kung Fu Chaos, known as Kung Fu Story, they decided to enlarge in the scope of the game with stylized visuals, motion capture, and a full single-player story mode based around Kung Fu and Chinese martial arts. After doing some market research, however, Ninja Theory determined that, at the time, the gaming audience and publishers alike were both striving for realism and high production values in new releases. So Kung Fu Story simply wasn't hitting. The project was scrapped, the scope was widened, and the game was morphed into what we now know as Heavenly Sword. Heavenly Sword was an amazing hack-and-slash action game with an incredibly good story, fantastic combat, memorable characters, and some of the best voice acting in any game I've ever played to this day.
Kill her.
Being an early PS3 exclusive, Heavenly Sword didn't exactly sell well, so the team moved on to their next project, which is what we're going to be looking at today. Enslaved, Odyssey to the West was developed by Ninja Theory and released back in October of 2010 for the PS3 and 360. Yep, the same month as Mass Effect 2, Super Mario Galaxy 2, Red Dead Redemption, StarCraft 2, God of War 3, Super Street Fighter 4, and Halo Reach. It's a deeply flawed game, but one with a ton of interesting topics around it to talk about. Can an interesting plot, well-known voice talent doing phenomenal work, a thought-provoking plot twist, crazy set pieces, and a genuinely amazing technical achievement overcome bland and overdone gameplay concepts? Let's find out, by starting with the bland. Gameplay is your standard Uncharted-esque mix of climbing, melee combos, shooting, boss battles, set pieces, and cutscenes. The whole game is an escort mission, but Trip, the person we're escorting, doesn't ever feel like a useless character that you need to protect at all times. She can hold her own, avoid combat when necessary, and can stun enemies if she does get grabbed. For the melee combat, Monkey, that's you, uses his staff to bash enemies and to form a shield to block attacks. You've got a light attack and a heavy attack, and can create combos based on what order you push the buttons in. It's nothing particularly complex, and it does get a bit repetitive throughout the game, despite some combos and attacks that get added via the game's upgrade tree as you play. Shielded enemies need to be hit with a charge attack to disable their shields, which is honestly extremely annoying when you're being swarmed by multiple enemies. The camera can be a bit unpredictable in combat, so you'll often be charging an attack to take out a shield, only to get hit by an enemy who's off the screen. You're also able to dodge by rolling, which is extremely janky and unpredictable. On top of these, you can also push X and square at the same time to do a large area of effect attack, which pushes enemies backwards, and if you get your combo high enough, you can push triangle and circle together to do an extremely high damage attack, which gives you temporary invincibility when you're doing it. The only other thing to mention about the melee combat is that some enemies, when defeated but not blown up, will have a little icon above their head indicating that you can perform a God of War style final kill on them. There's quite a lot of these, and they result in different effects as well, like these guys, who will give you a machine gun when you God of War kill them, or these guys, who you can throw into a group of enemies, causing them to explode and one-hit kill everybody around them. There's long-range attacks as well. Monkey is able to shoot his staff with two different shot types. You've got a stun shot, which stuns enemies in place and temporarily disables their shield if they have one, and then you've got a damage shot that kills most enemies in 2 hits. Basically, if there's a shield enemy, you need to shoot the stun shot, switch to the damage shot, and fire twice. It's all extremely basic, but it gets the job done, and it looks extremely cool while doing so.
So, that's the power cell we need.
Lucky. Having one just sitting there. So I should just go and get it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. shit, what the hell's that?
The game has a bunch of different boss battles throughout the story. All of them are 3-phase boss battles that typically involve stunning an enemy in one way or another, and then hitting them over and over again. All of these also end with a cool kill animation as a payoff. There's quite a few, so I'm not going to go through every single one, but they're all really fun to play. When you're not fighting, you're either solving a puzzle or climbing. Mostly climbing. You're going to be climbing a lot in this game. And the climbing here is unfortunately extremely simple, on par with Cabela's Shadows of Katmai in mechanics, but with much more spectacle. And that's the thing. The purpose of these sections isn't gameplay necessarily, but a visual spectacle that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. Any excitement in the climbing sections is fully scripted, and nothing can ever go wrong, save for a few select moments. Even seemingly timed breakable handholds won't ever break until you jump to the next one. There's also no way to let go unless there's a floor below you, meaning it's quite literally impossible to fall to your death. You climb up a set linear path with no real alternate routes or hidden areas, other than maybe 2 or 3 rare instances. For the most part, you just hold the up button and mash the jump button. Every handhold in the game glows in a really obvious way, which makes it honestly impossible to ever get lost or backtracked while climbing. Not only that, but when you hold up and push A, as long as the next handhold is somewhere above you, Monkey will jump to it. It's extremely generous, to a point where you barely feel like you're doing anything. There's no combat or enemies to deal with in the climbing sections either. I'm only slightly exaggerating when I say there's nothing stopping you from closing your eyes and taking quick naps while climbing. Thankfully, actually finding the climbing sections can sometimes be fun. Sure, most of the time, the camera pans to point you in the direction that you need to go, and the handholds literally flash at you. But that often isn't the case. Like Uncharted, in these moments, you'll see the location you want to go to, and then need to trace the terrain from the destination to the ground, where you can climb up. This is more necessary than ever in Enslaved, since you can only jump when you're allowed to jump in this game. You can only climb things that the game wants you to be able to climb. You can only drop down on ledges that the game wants you to be able to drop down onto. There's never any route other than the route that you need to take, so exploring and finding alternate ways up is a waste of time. There isn't one. The only reason to explore is to find the currency that you use to upgrade your abilities, which are always seemingly purposely placed in areas just to pad the game time. There's also these white masks that flash images of humanity when you pick them up that are hidden around. Both these and the currency are almost always just visible and sitting out in the open. Nothing's very well hidden. Overall, there just isn't much reason to explore. Thankfully, both the general traversal and the climbing do work really well most of the time, with quick, snappy, fluid, and smooth transitions into one another. The animations really do flow into each other nearly perfectly no matter what Monkey's doing on the screen, and it's honestly really impressive. A few hours into the game, Monkey also gets the Cloud. The Cloud lets him hover along the ground super quickly to get around the levels. He can stand still with it, jump, and use quick momentum to get to higher areas. It controls exactly like the hover boots in Ratchet & Clank, A Crack in Time, and Rift Apart in almost all ways. In both these Ratchet games though, you can use the boots anytime you feel like, and around every environment you'll find platforming sections that lead to hidden areas with collectibles in them. Unfortunately, in Enslaved, that's just not the case. Again, this game doesn't even let you climb things that it doesn't want you to, so without any plot-based reason whatsoever, Monkey can only use the Cloud at very specific times when the game decides to let him. The Cloud also sort of feels incomplete. For example, even when you're fighting boss battles that force you to use both it and the stun shot, you can't shoot or attack while using it. That means you've got to put the Cloud away, shoot the boss to stun him, take the Cloud back out to get back over to him, put it away again, and then hit the boss. It's so close to being an amazing addition to the game, but it just kind of feels like a waste. Some of the moments with the Cloud are really cool though, like chasing this robot through the water and avoiding the collapsing terrain. But they happen about as often as the on-rail sections, which is, well, quite rare. Which is a good thing. The on-rail sections here are brutally slow and boring. The boat mission, the climbing's boring, sure, but it's still extremely fun because of the destruction and chaos happening while you're doing it. The boat mission is even more boring than climbing, and without any destruction or chaos, You're left with an on-rail section only slightly more fun than Cabela's Shadows of Katmai. The traversal mechanics do often involve helping Trip across areas as well. To do this, the game has a command menu that lets you call her towards you as well as perform actions like pulling a lever or hacking a windmill at a specific time. She can jump across similar gaps that Monkey can, but can't climb or lift heavy things. That means you've got a ton of the usual ladder puzzles, lifting heavy things that block the route backwards, and throwing her across gaps. The command menu with Trip is actually really useful, mostly for the decoy option. Using this, Trip uses her augmented reality thing to create a decoy that steals all the enemy's attention immediately. They completely ignore Monkey when that decoy is up, which is really useful for getting past enemies and turrets that spam fire you with bullets. If Trip isn't around to make the decoy, the gunfire isn't a big deal anyway though. Monkey's shield recharges quick and can take enough shots that you can pretty much run anywhere without worrying too much about dying, at least on normal difficulty. On hard, you need to be much more strategic with these guys. Something you absolutely don't need to be strategic with on any difficulty is the game's ridiculous number of over-the-top set pieces. Other than the overall story, these moments are the best parts of the game. They're all beautifully animated, full of action, explosions, and destruction, and always really fun to watch. For people that hate QuickTime events, you'll feel right at home here, because you're essentially just watching these in cutscene form, or traversing through them with the hold up and mash X technique. The motion capture, sound design, and music all play a huge role in making these set pieces as impactful as possible, and it all just really clicks. All the music in this game was done by Nitin Sawhney, the music composer for none other than Heavenly Sword. Like in Heavenly Sword, the music here is carefully and lovingly crafted to fit the scene from the start of the game to the end. It switches up constantly depending on your character's state, and each map has its own soundtrack that's extremely atmospheric and adds a ton to the game. It's all mixed in surround sound too, and it's top notch, whether it's a fast action scene, a slow adventuring scene, or a sad emotional scene.
Okay. Okay. Show me.
The sad emotional scenes are also helped by the game's incredibly respectable motion capture work. The game used motion capture and facial capture at the same time for all scenes, filmed at House of Moves in California. Most games of this time period didn't do this. They'd be recorded separately, with mocap done for body tracking and then facial capture done separately. What you end up with here are extremely well animated and believable scenes from absolutely amazing actors and actresses in perfect digital form. Andy Serkis is of course a bit of a mocap guru, so it seems obvious that this would be extremely high quality stuff that's used to portray every possible emotion from the characters in the game. We'll talk about Andy in a minute. When combined with the absolutely fantastic voice acting, it's a bit of a cinematic masterpiece, and it also helps that it's pretty graphically nice looking even today. What? It looks really good. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a 13-year-old game that's very clearly made in Unreal Engine 3, and that's exactly what it looks like. But the amount of work put into everything is admirable, and the art design still holds up today. The semi-realistic, semi-cartoonish design fits well with the story being told. Which the story stars two characters, Monkey and Trip. Monkey is played by Andy Serkis, who you may know as the voice acting and motion capture legend who played one of the most memorable characters in all of media, King Bohan from Heavenly Sword.
Stop playing with her and kill the wretched girl! But she's hurting me! She's hurting me!
Oh, and Gollum in Lord of the Rings. No, not... Yeah, that Gollum. Monkey is a bit of a loner. He was born during a 150-year aftermath from a global war that turned the Earth into a wasteland. His parents were killed in a mech attack during the war, leaving him on his own. He's somebody you wouldn't want to fight with, and comes off as almost Hulk-like in the way he moves and fights. The majority of his life was spent in the wilderness, just simply surviving. He has trouble controlling his anger, and he's known for his martial arts skills and monkey-like climbing abilities. In the game, he's forced to spend his entire journey with the next character, Trip. Trip is played by Anna Torv, the same actress who played a character you probably know from both a theatrical movie and a video game. I'm talking, of course, about...
She was Noriko.
Yeah, there's a Heavenly Sword movie. Common misconception is that it's just the cutscenes from the game, but it's not. Actually, quick cutaway. They ruined Kai's character arc, they kinda ruined the story, and they couldn't afford Andy Serkis. The animation is really bad. It's a bad movie. If you played the game, go watch it. You'll cry. Back to Enslaved. Trip is a 19-year-old who comes from a more civilized society of people than Monkey, a wind farming community of people who are known for expertly reprogramming old technology. She's good with the tech, but not so good with the fighting. She can't survive alone and needs a bodyguard out in the post-war world. She's got a dragonfly camera that can scan for mechs, can open doors, solve puzzles.
If these fish can survive for 200 years against all the odds, so can we.
Everything about this game is just used to tell the story, though. The story is why you play this game. But even it has quite a few issues and moments that are just frustrating because they could have been so much better. The initial draft of the story was written by Tamim Antionades, the writer of Ninja Theory's previous games. Yes, including Heavenly Sword. And Alex Garland, the film writer of 28 Days or 28 Weeks Later, as well as Ex Machina, was taken on as co-writer to flesh out the story and help with cinematography as well. The game, like we briefly mentioned earlier, takes place hundreds of years in the future after a global war ended the vast majority of life on Earth, leaving it as a ravaged wasteland. In this future, robots rule the planet and are still following their orders to eliminate all of human life. At the start of the game, Monkey is seen captured by the death machines and being transported in an airship. The airship mission really sets the tone of the game and is a perfect first level. The platforming sections are intense since you don't know it's impossible to fail yet, the environments are really nice looking, the set pieces are over the top, and the story taking place during it is really engaging. The plane is going down and Monkey escapes his imprisonment. He sees a young girl attempting to escape the ship as well, so this whole mission, you're following her to the escape pods. Eventually, Monkey reaches them, and Trip, inside of an escape pod, scared, fires the escape pod with Monkey on the outside of it. They both end up surviving though, and when Monkey wakes up, he quickly learns that the girl, Trip, has placed a headband on his head that can't be removed. Trip put it on his head, and it basically lets her control Monkey however she sees fit.
You man, stop!
If Trip dies, the headband will kill Monkey. If he gets too far away from her, the headband will kill him too. The perfect bodyguard. See, Trip wants to get home to that windmill village where her father and the rest of her people reside, but it's quite far away, and there's no way she can do it alone. So yes, the first part of the game is a long journey west to Trip's village. The game and all its characters are extremely loosely based on Journey to the West, which is also what Dragon Ball is based on. I'm not going to dwell on it, but things like the headband, the staff, the cloud, the general color scheme, it's all based on the original story. There's also numerous nods to the original story throughout the game, but overall, it's very much its own original tale from start to finish, with a ton of sci-fi elements and inspiration taken from nature and steampunk. The game was also inspired by the documentary, A Life After People, which explored what the world would look like after people. Once they get to the village, unfortunately, it turns out that everybody there was murdered by mechs and burned to death. Trip eventually finds her father, dead in a lookout tower, with a message that automatically plays when the door is opened.
It's a blessing for me at this moment to know you're alive. I love you, Trip.
It's all really sad, but what comes after sadness in the grieving process? Well, it's anger.
I said, get me home. I'll set you free. I guess I lied. The slavers come from the west, so that's where we're going. I want to find out who did this. And then I'm gonna kill him.
But first, she needs a bit more help, so she drags Monkey to her father's best friend.
We haven't been properly introduced. Pixie.
This is Pigsy. He's played by Richard Ridings, who played as Roach in Heavenly Sword.
Now you're in trouble.
He's a gross, funny mechanic character that's similar to Monkey in strength and speed, but more chaotic and childish. He's obsessed with explosives and appears to be in love with Trip.
Are you and Trip? You know,
I mean, Trip what?
are you together?
You know, I mean, Trip.
Are you together? You know, 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 are
Trip enslaved me. And if I don't do what she says, she causes me a lot of pain. And if I still don't do what she says, she kills me.
All right. It's just I always sort of fancied my chances myself with Trip, you know. But if there's something already between you, I'd respect that. I'm not the kind of guy to go muscling in.
Pixie. She can hear every word we say. But if you want to take your chances, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, you're a woman already, and maybe I was thinking you might need a man, you know.
So how'd it work out for you?
The dynamic between Monkey and Pigsy is really funny throughout most of the game. Eventually, after Monkey saves both Trip and Pigsy's lives on separate occasions, he warms up to Monkey, and they become a really cool trio of lead characters. Anyway, we also learn about the main villain here, the one responsible for the death of Trip's village. It's at this mysterious place called Pyramid, where human slaves are kept. That's where the giant plane was taking them before it crashed at the start of the game. The plan is to break into a nearby mech base and steal an incredibly gigantic mech known as the Leviathan, and then pilot it all the way to Pyramid to infiltrate the building and kill the one responsible. After finding all the parts to power up the Leviathan once they get there, they begin making their way to Pyramid to put an end to this once and for all.
I've been wanting to talk to you, but there never seems to be a time. When I found my father dead, I'm not trying to excuse what I've done. I know it was wrong. I have no more right to enslave you than anyone does.
What have you done?
There's nothing controlling you anymore.
So I can just leave.
If that's what you want.
Turn it back on.
But
You heard what I just said. Turn it back on.
So Monkey decides to keep the headband on in order to stay with Trip as a slave. He then continues helping to infiltrate Pyramid to save the slaves. They're attacked by a giant scorpion thing, the one from the very start of this video. And, uh-oh.
Monkey! Do it now! We don't have time!
Pixie, no!
Pigsy sacrifices his life and dies a hero when the Leviathan explodes, which the explosion simultaneously kills all the mechs that were around it. Trip and Monkey reach Pyramid and walk in to end this once and for all. Ready for the plot twist? Inside of the Pyramid, they meet the man himself, Pyramid, also played by Andy Serkis. Pyramid explains that he comes from a time before the war ravaged the world. He hates what the world has become. People struggling to survive in a world with very little resources, being patrolled by mechs. He explains that he created Pyramid to give people a safe haven from the dangers of the cruel world. All the memories of one man from before the war have been saved and used as a base inside of this matrix-like system where people live brand new lives and create brand new memories. They have children, go to school, have jobs, a happier life. Monkey cautiously takes a look. Once he puts the mask on, he sees exactly what he wanted. A happier life in a pre-war world. It seems as though Monkey's been convinced. This is a better life for humanity. Then suddenly, Trip goes behind Pyramid and rips out all the cables connecting him to the virtual world. This violently kills him in a brutal way and frees all of the slaves below.
It's done.
Did I do the right thing?
And that's how the game ends. It's thought-provoking and purposely left open to interpretation over whether or not Pyramid is a good thing for humanity. But I have one major issue with this ending. Though nothing romantic ever really happens between Monkey and Trip, you know there's something there from the moment Trip invites Monkey to stay with her once she removed the headband midway through the game. You can see it in their eyes throughout the game. They're very clearly in love throughout the entire thing, and that's clearly shown in the Leviathan mission with that one romantic gesture. What romantic gesture am I talking about? Well, this game had a really good opportunity to insert a message on slavery, but there really isn't one. Monkey's a slave and quite literally has something called a slave headband on his head. Near the end, when Trip turns the headband off and Monkey demands that she turns it back on, he wants to continue being a slave, as it's a better life for him than his previous life full of survival and suffering. Also on the topic of slavery, at the end, after Trip kills Pyramid, saving everybody inside of it, she wonders if she did the right thing or not. Us, as the players, supposed to question this as well. It's just, she very, very clearly did the right thing. Pyramid sees everybody who doesn't agree with his vision of the future to be an enemy and is more than willing to kill them, like with the slave at the start of the game to Trip's entire colony.
Dad!
Pyramid used these slaves throughout the entire story to build weapons, mechs, and kidnap more slaves from the Earth and kills anyone that disobeys. That's not a utopia, that's slavery. Likewise, Monkey having a slave headband on isn't love, it's slavery. There's an obvious juxtaposition with Trip being a slave owner and Pyramid being a slave owner. I'm not overthinking this, it's clear. I think this makes Monkey wanting to keep the headband on even more offensively silly. Metaphorically, both the forced ambiguity over whether or not Trip made the right move and Monkey wanting to keep the headband on, it's agreeing that Pyramid should keep the slaves rather than allowing humanity to fight for survival on the surface, which just isn't a message and doesn't work very well with both Trip and Monkey's stance on it throughout the entire playthrough. It would have been better for the game to take a more bold stance on why Pyramid should be destroyed. The ending in its current state is a really interesting twist that's thought-provoking and unexpected and fun to talk about, but the story just isn't concluded. I doubt it, but maybe we'll get more answers in the next game, Pigsy's Perfect 10, a 19-chapter-long DLC campaign. I'll have that review up really soon after this one. Make sure you're subscribed if you want to see that. As with every single thing about Enslaved Odyssey to the West, it comes so close to being amazing, but like Kai shooting arrows in Heavenly Sword with the PS3's gyro controls, it just misses. I've been really harsh on Enslaved. It's honestly an amazing game and totally worth playing through. It's fun from start to finish, the acting's phenomenal, and the story from start to finish never fails to be interesting. As far as gameplay goes though, this is unfortunately a step down from all of Ninja Theory's other outputs. Yeah, including DMC. The combat's repetitive, the climbing's quite boring. We didn't talk about the puzzles, but they're extremely easy, and I guess that's the takeaway, eh? This game's extremely easy. It's a story and a movie more than a game. I'm still a really small channel, and these long-form essay videos are hard work, so if you want to support what I'm doing, please hit me with a like or a sub. That'd be awesome. Alright, that's all I got though. Love you guys. Peace. You're gonna want to go change the resolution in the ini file, because the game doesn't even support 1440p in the resolution options. Likewise, the game is set to 62 FPS by default, which creates annoying stutters as you play. In the ini file, change the frame rate to 60 instead of 62. Likewise, you'll find anisotropic filtering in here. Set that to 16 times. The rest of the settings can be changed in-game. Though, this is an old console port, so don't expect much. But yes, you can turn the motion blur off if you don't like it. I usually do, but it was a bit much here even for me. The only other thing you're going to want to do is download the two mods in the description. One is AI Upscaled Cutscenes, which is absolutely necessary. The cutscenes look horrible, blocky, and pixelated by default. It's just a replacement for the video files. Right-click the game in Steam, show the folder it's in, and then just drag the movies into the folder. Super easy. The other one is the Enslaved Essential Fix Collection, which I actually didn't even have when I played through this. It fixes the weird character shadings that sometimes happen in shadows, as well as lets you increase the frame rate past 60 FPS. Also just a drag and drop. Alright, that's the actual end of the video. Thanks guys. Bye.